This is the Leo Climaco podcast.
I can see what you're saying with it being genetics and a broken Y chromosome.
Go ahead.
Is there a possibility that vaccines can trigger this genetic mutation more?
Everything's a possibility, right?
Okay, yeah, for sure. Could it possibly be unlocking things?
Wow, that's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
I believe in science. I do. I believe in science. I believe in the vaccine. I believe it. I gave it to my children. I wholeheartedly believe in science. I do. I don't believe in the correlation. There isn't enough evidence. I've asked many, many doctors. I've asked, what if we break it up? Because the MMR, which is the vaccine that we're discussing,
Right.
it's
3-in-1, right?
It's 3-in-1.
Yeah.
It can be given as
Separately.
3 separate dosages. Again, not enough evidence that will make a difference, but it can be a choice.
Right. To your point, I interviewed Camille a couple weeks ago, and her son was never vaccinated and has autism.
Correct. It's hard to say because, again, the science does not show that there is a correlation. And
Just a coincidence.
yeah, it can be. And why is it a coincidence? Again, because of the age they give the vaccine. And because of the age that you see these leaps and bounds in development that you don't see in a child with autism.
Right.
So when you put those two children together, that's when you see that deficit. And then when you put that vaccine in the mix, it's so easy to say it was the vaccine.
Yeah.
So, but again, as a parent, do you want to blame something?
Or do you want a solution?
Do you want a solution? Do you want to say it's because of this? Again, I would never say to another parent, like, they're right or wrong, but I, again, would never, as my own personal opinion, is that it's not correlated.
What is your opinion on stem cells? Have you heard?
I have,
There's many parents taking their children to Costa Rica, to Panama, to do stem cell therapy on their kids, and they're seeing huge progress.
The truth is I don't know enough. I do have to do more research. I don't know. Do you know more about it? Because I don't know enough, to be honest. I don't know exactly what they're doing.
They are rewiring the brain.
Interesting.
They're introducing stem cells to the brain to make connections that are not there. They're basically creating pathways basically that's what autism is, right? Their brain is wired differently than ours. So these stem cells are helping their brains rewire more like ours.
So interesting.
It's connecting pathways that are not currently connected in their brain.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look into that. I'll look into more studies because I don't know enough, to be honest.
It's very interesting where we are with science and what's happening, yeah.
I mean, listen, the truth is that I have heard of some really, really, really interesting things that have been done for years. That some of them are very scary, that I don't agree with. A lot that work or don't work. And what's hard to say is, what is it that's working? Because they're doing all of the things at the same time.
Right.
There's no control.
Right.
There's no way to say...
There's no way to A/B test.
Yeah. There's no way to say that worked or this worked. There's gluten-free, casein-free diets. Casein is dairy.
Okay.
Tons of parents say that the gut is correlated. Part of me doesn't disagree because maybe that triggers,
The
the
mutation.
child. No,
No?
not a mutation necessarily, but
You
the
don't mean like
child-
preservatives, like all the bull crap that we eat?
It could be
Right.
the fact that maybe they don't feel good and they're not able to say, I don't feel good, and they're acting up.
Okay,
I'll take it there.
got it.
But to say that that causes autism or that's fixing the autism is a whole nother layer. That's really my point, if that makes sense.
Right.
That if you're, that's what gets me. It's really the idea of, is there a cure? Are you cured from autism? And I don't know if I fully believe that one can be cured. Because
Today.
so it's interesting, I went to FABA, the Florida ABA conference, and there is a woman who is diagnosed with autism. She is 21 at this point, fully high functioning. She's amazing. I forget her name. I'm blanking out right now. But she's incredible. She presented, and she is so in her truth that she has autism, and talks about her troubles with dating and meeting people. And it just shows me, like, the idea of being cured is not necessarily
You don't.
a thing.
You don't think, though, that a mother of a child who has to be in a clinic for the rest of his life, and if they're able to do some stem cells to rewire their brain to make them at least not have to be in that home, to be a little bit more, you know what I mean, a little bit more
100%,
functional.
100%. I think it's fantastic. But I think the desire or the idea that I'm going to cure my child is different than my child's going to function beautifully in society. That we're going to, like, that's what my dream for behaviors is not, hey, I'm going to cure my child. I'm going to cure your child. The dream is that we're going to take your child to their full potential. This child is going to be the best that they can be, to whatever level that they can be.
It's beautiful.
It's because the idea of being cured takes away from that person's ability.
Right.
It kind of goes with, this kind of takes us in a kind of different route, but similarly, because it's talking about diagnoses. But a friend of mine who's living with depression, the idea that she said, she still has depression and she's living with it. It's the idea that you have something, but you can be fully functioning.
Right.
It's not necessarily that it's going to go away. You can't
Right.
scrape the barrel clean necessarily.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Just living to your full potential is the goal, in my opinion.